I have loved Mark for 10 years. But I didn't get his true heart. A fall into water. He left me to save my first love. Then I realized. He really doesn't love me. It's all just my fantasy. But I was reborn. Reborn on our wedding day. I swear I will take revenge on him. I'm going to kick him into the river with my own feet. I don't want to love him anymore. The revenge plan took root in my heart. After rebirth, Mark's attitude towards me has changed. In my previous life, Mark was busy. At work. Mark's current wife. I miss you so much. When will you come home? Oops, why is it different from the previous life? I am born again. Rebirth on the first day of the wedding. Sitting across from the bed is my newlywed husband Mark. I fell into the river with his stepsister Jane. His first reaction was to rescue Jane. What does it mean that he always says he loves me? We have been married for 10 years and have 2 lovely babies. And Jane is just the child of her cheating father. Mark told me himself. He hated his father and he hated Jane. But when Jane and I fell into the water, he actually rescued her. Chilled. Very chilling. 10 years of marriage changed this. But it's okay. I am born again. This time I swear I won't fall in love with Mark again. I must avenge myself. I must find an opportunity to kick him into the river with my own feet. I stopped remembering. I noticed Mark was looking at me. At 23, he was so young and handsome. Cute and rich. No, you can't be fooled by his appearance, Nancy. I must take revenge, I kept stressing in my heart. Wife, it's getting late. We should go to bed. Mark's voice sounded. I rolled my eyes secretly in my heart. You will never touch a hair of mine in this life. I'm not used to sleeping with others. How about you go to the guest room and sleep? Come back when I get used to it. Oh my God. How can you come up with such a lame excuse on your wedding night? I should have thought of a better reason. When I was still upset. Mark's voice sounded again. What? He was silent for a while and then continued. All right, I'll come back when you get used to it. He looked a little lost. But I don't have the energy to explain anything to him anymore. I just feel physically exhausted. But I fell asleep after a while. Jane came into my room and woke me up. I opened my eyes. I'm full of anger. If I hadn't quarreled with her, I wouldn't have fallen into the river. What's more, the person I loved most in my previous life saved her life. What are you doing? So sleepy, I grumbled unhappily. Jane pulled my arm. I screamed loudly. Mark came over after hearing the noise. Jane, stop it. Mark rushed in and shouted. Jane, let go. Then he glared at me. She said she was still sleeping at home when the sun was shining on her butt and she was waiting for you to cook. Then Jane clapped her hands and left. Whoever eats it will do it. I shouted in the direction Jane was walking. Loud. Mark came towards me. Picked up my red arm. I ruthlessly threw. Please don't bother me. Whoever likes to eat can make it. I'm going to continue sleeping. Sorry, I apologize to you on behalf of Jane. Wait for you to get up and we'll go out to eat. Mark is sincere. But I didn't soften my heart. I told her to apologize herself. And we moved out. But Jane is only 7 years old. She and my dad are not close. What does it have to do with me? I rolled my eyes. Keep talking. Otherwise, we should separate for a while. I covered myself with the quilt again and went back to sleep. Can I give you $3,000 a month? You just need to cook for Jane. Pick her up from school. I'll calculate the meal and gas separately. $5,000 US. A promise is a promise. I slept till night. It's pitch black outside the window. I don't like this feeling. I'm the only one in the room. I think of my 2 lovely babies. How sad they are without their mother. Will Mark find a stepmother for them? Will the stepmother abuse them? I cried while thinking. Maggie. Judy. Mom misses you guys so much. I kept crying. I can't stop at all. The light was suddenly turned on. It's Jane. Jane is now about the same height as my 2 daughters. Why are you crying? I just asked you to cook a meal. I wiped my tears and said. Who is crying because of this? I miss my family. Unexpectedly, Jane also started crying. My mother is gone. I was taught a lesson by my brother in the morning. I know you don't like me. When I grow up, I will stay far away from you. I ignored her. Immersed in my emotions. She cried her. I cry my. The last 2 people cried louder and louder. This is the scene when Mark came in. He doesn't comfort people. I knew it in my previous life. I brought back some dishes from outside. You two should eat together. Bro, you made it too bad. I don't eat. This is cooked. I just bought it at the hotel. Because I was lucky enough to eat it once in my previous life. It's really hard to eat. Because I suddenly laughed. The atmosphere is not so sad anymore. Jane didn't cry anymore. I haven't eaten anything all day. I'm really hungry. Now I am too lazy to care about the things in my past life. I just want to fill my stomach quickly. The three of us sat at a table. Because I'm too hungry. I didn't care about the image. Eat voraciously. Mark poured me a glass of water. Jane suddenly said that after my brother taught me. Made me rice porridge. But it's too thick. I drank a bowl. I wanted to call you. But we're both afraid that you'll be angry. So I can only wait until you wake up naturally. I wiped my mouth with a tissue. I said, but you still came into my room and turned on the light. That's because you slept too long. I'm afraid you'll fall asleep. Jane rolled her eyes at me. I glanced back at her. Mark helped me scoop another bowl of soup. She also scooped a bowl for Jane. What time is it now? I asked at 7 p.m. Jane said my brother has been working. And you have been sleeping. He didn't even have lunch. Jane, Mark said to her. A bit angry. What did you eat? I asked. Leftover snacks at home. Why don't you give it to your brother? That's because my brother doesn't like to eat. So what does it have to do with me whether he eats or not? I didn't drink that bowl of soup anymore. Because I left after I said this. That's Mark. Work without caring. I hated this about him in my previous life. Didn't walk a few steps. I turned my head. Put the soup in front of him. I said don't waste it. Then I left again. I'm just that kind. I keep thinking. Just do good deeds. I will try to do more good things in my life. To do good deeds for my daughters in another world. I hope they can live happily. Married for a month. Jane, new semester starts. Mark gave me my first salary. I started my work. My breakfast was ready when Jane got up. Then I'll leave an extra copy for Mark. After Jane finishes eating. I drive her to school. Because she had lunch at the daycare center. So I only need to pick her up from school in the afternoon. I will prepare dinner before she gets home from school. Then heat it up again when you get home. Let her have a meal as soon as she gets home. I do it very smoothly. Because I treated my two precious daughters the same way in my previous life. I admit that sometimes I get distracted. I sometimes mistake Jane for Judy. Judy's nose looks like Mark's. And Jane's nose looks exactly like Mark's. I hope my daughter's stepmother. To be as responsible as I am to Jane. But I also admit. This is why Mark gave me money. I also admit. I have developed feelings for Jane. In her previous life, there was a nanny who took care of Jane. I opened my own clothing store after I got married. Sometimes when I come back at night, Jane is already asleep. When I get up in the morning, Jane is gone. So we seldom talk. Later, Jane was taken away by her aunt to be taken care of. I'm pregnant too. The focus is on your children. So I rarely see Jane. Mark gave me an extra $2,000. Let me help Jane with her homework. I was sitting next to Jane's bed. Looking at her midterm exam paper in silence. The test was pretty good. I'm a little bad at math. I explained to her patiently. About 2 hours later. Mark is back. I glanced at my watch. 9:30 p.m. It's getting late. You should go to bed early. I'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, Nancy, Jane said sweetly. All right. I assume she's not that annoying anymore. Even a little cute. I ordered a meal for Mark. I knocked on his door. I told you to come out for dinner after you finish cleaning up. No response inside. So I pushed the door open. Mark sits on the bed. Take off your headphones. Excuse me. I didn't hear. I nodded. Slightly hot face. I said the noodles will be ready soon. You come out to eat later. Mark seemed to realize something. Put on your pajamas immediately. I turned my head away and couldn't bear to look anymore. I wonder why this person doesn't wear pants. But my face got even redder. Married for 3 months. I still didn't let him sleep in the same bed with me. He didn't ask. But why didn't he ask? Does he not like me? But I remember he said he liked me before we got married. That was said in my previous life. This life may not necessarily. So I concluded. Mark doesn't like me in this life. I should have been more ruthless and kicked him into the river. Let him feel my pain. Maybe he lied to me when he said he liked me in his previous life. Otherwise, why didn't he save me? He knows I can't swim. Think of this. I signed up for swimming classes the next day. Waiting for someone to rescue. It is better to learn to save yourself. I didn't expect Jane to buy me a swimsuit. Sister-in-law. I bought this for you with my New Year's money. Hope you like it. Jane's eyes are clear and pure. She smiled shyly. I couldn't help but touch her head. Thanks. I love so much. The first gift received after rebirth. I think I'll keep it well. Mark came back very late tonight. He drank. And drunk. The driver brought him in. Now Mark is lying on the sofa. Wake up and go to bed if you want to sleep. I kicked Mark's hand. He suddenly hugged my calf. He said his wife. Can we sleep in the same bed? I heard it clearly. I heard what he said. But I don't know what to say now. Maybe he won't remember even if I tell him. Because he was drunk. I used all my strength to help him into the bedroom. Let him lie on the bed. He took off his shoes and socks himself. Then start untying your tie. I naturally stepped up to help. Then I felt his breath. 3 months since rebirth. It was the first time I was so close to him. I don't know why. The tie just won't come undone. I'm discouraged. Want to leave. But Mark held my hand. Nancy. Did you know? I have liked you since junior high school. Before we got married, you clearly said you loved me. So why don't you sleep in the same bed with me? Do you hate me? Or have you been lying to me? In fact, you don't like me, right? You're only with me because I have a lot of money. I didn't answer. Look at this man in front of you. The man who has slept with me for 10 years. I want to ask. Do you really love me? Then why don't you save me? Or are you tired of me? I didn't say anything after all. The mark of today is not the mark of 10 years later. I touched his eyes. His closed eyes. Has he liked me since junior high school? He never said that in his previous life. I thought about when I started to like him. In fact, I can't remember it myself. But I'm sure I like him. Now also. Even though he didn't save me. But do I hate him? I think I do. There is a ring box next to his pillow. I opened. It's a gold ring. My initials are engraved on it. It's rough, but I like it. I took off the diamond ring on my hand and put it away. And he has a pair of. I turned the ring on his hand. Slightly absent-minded. Suddenly he held my hand. You are pretending to be drunk. Right? I asked. Mark's face is still red. But he spoke clearly. He said there are some things I can only ask when I'm drunk. What else do you want to ask? Ask them all today. I want to have a good time with you. We didn't quarrel. There is no contradiction. I like you. I want to hold you. I want to kiss you. I want to see you as soon as I wake up. Mark is a little emotional. I touched his straight nose. I told a lie. The nose will grow longer. He suddenly hugged me. Head on my waist. What I said is true. I don't want to hear anything else from him. I'm afraid I'll be soft-hearted. So I pushed him away. He left without looking back. However, at this time, I don't know what will happen the next day. Mark left early in the morning. Before I get up, I send Jane to school as usual. Then I went to swimming class. Overcame difficulties one after another. I dare to go into the water. When I get home, Mark is sitting on the sofa. Where have you been? Go learn to swim. Let's have lunch together at noon. I have booked a restaurant. I have been busy with work these past few months. I neglected to take care of you. Terribly sorry. So you want to satisfy me with a meal? I take off my high heels. Put on slippers. Walk straight into the bedroom. Mark followed. I did not mean that. I turned and looked at him. I am angry. So I said something in anger. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought about what you said yesterday. I don't like you at all. I'm with you because of your money. Now you know my true self. Let's find some time to get a divorce. Oops. Why do I feel like crying the more I talk about it? How can you say these nonsense? Wrong. You can't divorce now. It's hard to ask him out after the divorce. How can I kick him into the river? Fortunately, Mark refused. I won't get divorced. He said. Then don't leave. I immediately said. I'm afraid he'll regret it. Mark didn't say anything else. I don't know what he's thinking. I didn't go see him. Maybe I'm very hungry. So I agreed to go out to dinner with Mark. Mark drove me. I sat in his passenger seat. The car is very clean. We arrived at the hotel in about 20 minutes. This is my favorite restaurant in my previous life. Mark ordered all the dishes I like. I never told him what I like to eat. Mark and I sat face to face. He has been drinking water. And kept looking at him. When you have time, let's go traveling. I said yes. I continued to look at Mark. I saw a look of joy on his face. I have a 10-day-long vacation in 2 months. Can we go then? Or you can decide the time. Need not. Just come on your time. Mark smiled. I was planning my own plan. It's strange that Mark didn't go to work after lunch. When I entered the bedroom, he followed me in. Nancy. I think we should cultivate some feelings. You said you are not used to sleeping with others. I think we can start practicing by taking a nap together. Mark blushed a little after saying this. I want to refuse. But I didn't say it. So we both lay on the bed. I can feel Mark's body temperature. We are very close. Slowly, I felt him put his hands on my waist. Then he stopped moving. I subconsciously put his hand on my chest. Then we both froze. I want to explain. But Mark kissed me. His head is above mine. His nose touches mine. He is biting my lip. Very light. I should push him away. But I didn't. Seeing that I didn't react. Mark further began his movements. Don't let me refuse. Mark actually came to unbutton my underwear. Night. Is this okay, tonight? He released my lips. Close to my ears. Ask gently. His breath hit my cheek. My heart is pounding. At this moment I really want to throw him down. I really want to do this. This is my husband whom I have loved for 10 years. But I didn't forgive him. Not tonight. I pushed him away. I couldn't bear to see his expression. The tone sounds a bit lost. He said I couldn't bear it any longer. Nancy. Please. Wife. Please. I turned to look at him. His eyes looked at me lovingly. We are very close. So I kissed him. I also have physical needs. Besides, Mark is so handsome. It's a pleasure to use. He is still my nominal husband. So I couldn't control myself anymore. Our tongues are entwined. Legs crossed. His hands clasped mine. Until 5 p.m. I said Jane needs someone to pick her up. He stopped. I called the driver. I agree. After all, I have no strength now. The bed was a mess. Mark held me in his arms and took me to take a shower. I let him swing. After everything is packed. It's already 6 o'clock in the evening. I asked Jane why she didn't come. He said he asked the driver to take Jane to dinner. Then he asked me if I was hungry. I said a little. Mark dressed me. Combed my hair. Finally I found out that I didn't know when he put a bracelet on me. It's my favorite brand. I laughed in my heart. Mark noticed that I was in a good mood. Kissed me again. Sanity slowly returns. Now I can only treat Mark as a toy to satisfy my physiological needs. I have to control my feelings for him. Mark moved in from that day on. Share a bed with me. I told him I don't want kids now. So he bought a lot of condoms. His work and rest schedule began to become regular. Not so much overtime. I often have breakfast with him. Dinner. Sometimes he would ask me to bring him lunch at the company. He's being coquettish to me. I like this. He would go shopping with me during his break. Come with me to the amusement park with Jane. He gives me gifts from time to time. We seem to be living happily. More than a month passed like this. I have almost learned how to swim. I have not forgotten my revenge. It's getting colder. Mark actually knitted a pair of gloves for me. Very normal tone. I told you the city I wanted to visit. Then Mark arranged everything. I don't know when Mark learned to cook. He made my favorite dish for lunch today. Then I poured 2 glasses of red wine. He said today is his birthday. I was a bit shocked. Because I actually forgot his birthday. The 10 years I spent with him in my previous life. I planned every birthday for him. Happy birthday, I say sincerely. Mark doesn't look disappointed. He raised his glass. I also raised. Then we touched. The whole meal was eaten in silence. We barely spoke. When I was about to clean up the dishes. He finally asked. No cake? What I said. He looked sad. Do you want me to buy you a cake? Jane said you will learn to make cakes these days. I thought you were preparing for me. I learned to bake cakes because I wanted to learn. You can also do it at home. The reason is that simple. But I didn't tell you the real reason. I misremembered your birthday. I thought there were still a few days left. So I didn't do it. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Although the reason is false. But I really apologize. Let's eat it on the next birthday. I really want to eat the cake you made for me. Wife. I nodded. Hug him. Mark also hugged me. I'm going on a trip in half a month. I checked the weather there. Prepare plenty of clothes. Then we arranged Jane's pickup, meals and accommodation. I know. I'll do something in half a month. The clothes were actually prepared for my escape. I put a lot of cards in there. It's very nicely edited. At first I thought he bought it. But Jane said he made it up secretly in the office. I teased him. Why is Mr. Sue slacking off at work? Mark didn't answer. Just smiled and put on gloves for me. The size is perfect. Thank you, husband. I love so much. After Jane fell asleep, I quietly exited her bedroom. Mark is waiting for me outside our bedroom door. I pushed him into the bedroom. We took a bath together. I said I won't do it today. I'm a little tired these days. He agreed. He also held back. Now he blows his hair for me. After blowing, I'm going to bed. The living conditions in the new city are very good. If you like there, why don't we consider buying a house? Living there. Xinjiang is the place we plan to travel. I looked at Mark. My fingers touched his lips. I don't know if I kick him into the river. How will he react? Will you be as sad as I am? I'm afraid Xinjiang will become his shadow in the future. It's better not to use it. It's good here. I like it here. And you work here too. Listen to you. But I want to work on my own. Start your own business and leave your uncle's company. Mark worked in his uncle's company in his previous life. Why do you have this idea? I always feel that I spend too little time with you. Be your own boss. Maybe some free time. And what? I don't think we love each other that much. That's good. Mark leans over and kisses my forehead. Not good. Not good at all. I feel like there's always something between you and me. Yes. Whenever I fall, I always remind myself to stay rational. This man in front of me is actually not worth relying on. He won't save me. Even though he loves our daughters. He swam to Jane at the first opportunity, which is always a thorn in my heart. Mark. Do you love me? Like. He said without hesitation. But who can guarantee that people will change after 10 years? Nancy, I can't guarantee the future. But I swear. I will never betray you. Mark is sincere. But so what? Maybe I won't love him anymore after 10 years. I nodded. No more talking. Mark suddenly went crazy. He turned me over and pressed me on the bed. Take off my clothes. You're crazy, I said. I don't like this. I started biting his hand. He didn't react. Call my name. Nancy. I don't want to. Mark said he would punish me. I said I hate this way. But he ignored me. At last. He took me to rinse my mouth. Then he put me on the bed. We are ready to rest. When I was about to fall asleep, I felt Mark's presence. I bow my head. I saw his black hair. When I woke up, I just feel tired. I cursed Mark in my heart. His hands are still on my waist. He hugged me tight. Afraid that I would run away. Wake up. Mark. I patted his face. Early wife. Mark opened his eyes and looked at me. I rolled my eyes at him. So cute. Today is the weekend. Jane doesn't go to school. I know, but she has dance class in the afternoon. You go send. I listened to my wife. Less corny. It was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon when we both woke up. Mark was in charge of the cleaning of the bedroom. Jane just came back from dinner. The driver brought him up. Sister-in-law, you haven't eaten yet, right? I brought you some dishes. How do you know we didn't eat? My brother told me this morning that he wants to sleep with you. No time to make dinner. Let me bring you some. How can Mark say that? I felt my face getting hot after hearing this. Thank you very much. You take a rest. There is a new toy I bought for you on your desk. There is also a dance class at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Your brother sent you. Good sister-in-law. You and my brother are happy more than anything else. I smiled, urge her to go in quickly, child. Where did you learn these words? My hands are sore. I let Mark feed me. He readily agreed. Actually, I'm just asking. I feel embarrassed to be fed by him. But he said he was sorry. What haven't we done? I cursed him in my heart. Eating is not proper. Since Mark is free today. So when he takes Jane home, I invited him to see a movie. The movie doesn't end well. 2 lovers died. Injured, I didn't have much feeling about the ending. Because I found this movie on the spur of the moment. I was a little distracted when I watched it. Because I was thinking about my first date with Mark in my previous life. But Mark felt sad after reading it. They can obviously be together. I don't know what to say. Because I didn't look carefully. I hope that even if we separate, they are all healthy. A peaceful separation. But I died in my last life. Died 10 years after our marriage. You gave up on me. Mark, I can't see your heart. I am in pain. I am conflicted. I love you while staying away from you. Maybe leaving you is the only way for me to be relieved. But I will take revenge on you. Will I bear it? Mark. I really want to travel back to my previous life and ask you why you didn't save me. Asking if you really love me. But if you don't love me, why are you so nice to me? I hope so. I agree with him. You should say we won't separate. A healthy and peaceful separation may be the best outcome. I don't want to get hurt. Let's have a baby. I suspect I heard it wrong. In our previous life, Maggie and Judy were born in the 3rd year of our marriage. I won't get pregnant at this time. Can't get pregnant. I'm only 22. What are you looking for? I'm in a hurry. You are only 24. I always feel like you're going to leave me. So you want to tie me down with the child? I guess so. I won't leave you. Really, certainly. Mark. I won't leave you. Only then did Mark smile a little. In exchange for my lies. I'm not only leaving you. I'm gonna kick you into the river. After returning home. There is a scarf on the bed. There's a piece of paper on it. Written by Jane. It says sister-in-law. I'm not as skillful as my brother. Can't knit a scarf. So I bought you one. Hope you like it. I happily held the scarf and turned around a few times. Then walk into Jane's bedroom. Place a kiss on her forehead. Good night, baby. Good night, baby. Good night, Jane. Good night, Maggie and Judy over there. I also wrote a note to thank Jane for the gift. I love blowing kisses. I put it on her desk. Tuck in the quilt for her. Mark drinks water in the restaurant. I walked over. I want to hug him from behind. So I hugged him. Husband. What are you thinking about? Thinking of you. What do you think of me? All including my birth, aging, illness and death. If you're gone, I don't have the courage to live. I really want to know what happens after I die. What Mark would do. So I asked, what would you do? Also leave. Then I'll be buried with you. What if we have children? We both left. Who will take care of them? What if someone bullies them in the future? As I was talking, I burst into tears. Mark quickly comforted me. Sorry, I didn't expect this. I was too careless. I cried even louder. I'm telling you, Mark. You must not abandon our child. You must raise them well. Did you hear that? Heard later, I finally calmed down. But I hate that Mark brings back sad memories. I sent him to sleep in the guest room. He came to my bed again in the middle of the night. This is what I found out when I woke up the next morning. This reminds me. Always lock the door when you sleep at night. Before your trip. I made a cake for Mark. Let him eat. I said this is the new model I just learned to make. Let him have a taste. But I know this is the first and last time I make a cake for him. The day of travel finally arrived. We went there by plane. After leaving the airport, Mark and I then ran to the apartment. He rented the apartment temporarily. We did it at night. After the event, he gave away the ring. A gold ring with my initials. He knelt on one knee. Wear it on my ring finger. I shed tears. You don't have a diamond ring. So I guess you don't like it. Then I bought you the gold one. This should be a couple. And yours. He took out another ring. In his wallet. Did he say he wanted me to wear it? I took the ring. Put it on him. In a few seconds. I think it's been a long time. After dinner, I suggested going to the famous X River Forest Park tomorrow. Mark readily agreed. I was totally out of my mind when I got back to the apartment. I am silent. Silence. Mark noticed my mood. He suggested taking me to the mall here tomorrow to buy me some clothes and bags. I tried to hide my emotions. Smile and promise him. This day is tiring. I'm lying on the bed. I don't know when I fell asleep. Before true consciousness sleep. I heard Mark say his wife. Good night. Wife. I love you. This day has come. Mark and I came to the X-River Forest Park. Not many tourists. I took Mark to the river. We were gossiping. He suggested that we take a photo together. So he asked passersby to take pictures for us. After taking the photo, I looked at it. Very beautiful. My 22 years old. I don't know how to step down. Where should I kick him? I'm joking. I said, can I kick you? Why? Revenge for you being busy with work for 3 months after your wedding. Neglected to take care of me. Can. Mark was only 1 meter away from the river. I kicked his thigh. A hard kick. Didn't dare to hesitate. He fell into the river. I didn't save him. Because I know he can swim. But as his body sank deeper and deeper, I just remembered that he learned to swim in the 5th year of our marriage in the previous life. I saved Mark. Then I called an ambulance. The water is too cold. I started a fever. I'm not in the same ward with Mark. I woke up and left the hospital. I don't know how to face Mark. I guess he thought I was just joking. I didn't expect to kick him into the river. I walked all the way to the snack stand outside the hospital. Bought 2 bowls of wontons. It's almost evening now. I ended up going back to the hospital. Then I found Mark's ward. He wakes up. Just lying on the bed. Pale face. I pushed the door open. But I don't know what to say. I still walked towards him. Do you hate me? Nancy. Mark is very sure. I changed the subject. I don't want to answer his question. Have some. Let's eat together. I bought 2 bowls. Mark doesn't want to talk to me. I feel very sad. I don't actually want to hurt him. I don't like this kind of revenge at all. I even started to hate myself. I didn't want Mark to die. But I don't want him to become like this. Then I ate it myself. I left a bowl for Mark. Prepare to take a bowl back to my ward to eat. Let's eat here. Mark fixed the table for me. I couldn't eat anymore after eating 2. I'm feeling depressed. But I have to make the next decision. I must stay away from him. Call the police to arrest me. You saved me. How can I call the police? But I was the one who caused you to fall into the river. You did this on purpose, right? Yes, I want to lay it all out. I hate you. Please don't ask why. Let me go now. I don't love you. The tone of voice when saying this makes me feel very strange. I said it indifferently. I couldn't bear to see Mark. But Mark suddenly touched my face with his hand. Are you reborn? Did I do something to offend you in my previous life? So you're here to take revenge on me in this life, do you know? Nancy. Even if I die because of this, I won't blame you either. If I could get your forgiveness, I will be very happy. I stood up from the bed. I said we're done from now on. I won't hate you anymore. Let's separate. I won't get divorced. I opened the door. I heard Mark say. I didn't look back. Instead, he walked out of the ward without hesitation. He came back from get off work that night. I finally couldn't stand it anymore. Mark seemed to be afraid that I would run away. He keeps clinging to me. He said he was afraid I would leave. Afraid that I would leave him. Let's go back to your ward. I won't leave, okay? Why do you always come in when I go to the bathroom? I shot you digging a hole in the ground and running away. I pushed Mark hard. And stepped on him. At last. I flew home with Mark. We all kept silent about this matter. As if it never happened. We continue our normal life. It's just that Mark returned to the guest room. We have been sleeping in separate rooms for half a month. We're like roommates. Living a bland life. I found that I didn't have the courage to stay away from him. Mark. Since you don't want me to leave, why do you treat me like this? Aren't we the same as before? I'm not ignoring you. No cold violence. But why did you move to the guest room? Mark probably didn't expect me to ask this. I saw his expression was confused. I repeated it again. Because I'm afraid I can't help it. I want to do it with you every day. After knowing you want to leave me. I'm very dark inside. I want you to be pregnant. Ridiculous, right? I want to keep you this way. I didn't answer. He held my face. Nancy. I'm not lying to you when I say I've had a crush on you since junior high school. It's just your junior high school. I came to visit my teacher the year you graduated from junior high school. Then I saw you. I started asking your name. Then I found out that we were in the same high school. My family moved. We became neighbors. Then we got to know each other. But I had liked you for a long time. When I was in the first year of high school, during the National Day holiday. Yes, I was 15 years old that year. I remember it very clearly. Because that was my birthday. The birthday cake my mother bought was very big. I divided it among my neighbors. When I opened the door of Mark's house, my hand suddenly cramped. The cake fell on his slippers. His face is very dark. I'm very embarrassed. I will never forget this scene. Mark seems to have thought of this too. I was sleeping at home at that time. I didn't see it was you when I opened the door. I just feel annoyed. And I didn't mean to have that expression. You can see your expression. Can feel. You didn't look very well. After the cake dropped your slippers. Human nature. I don't blame you. Mark's stomach suddenly growled. I burst out laughing. Wife. I didn't eat lunch. We went out to eat. At the same time, I gave birth to Maggie and Judy. They are twins. Mark and I love them. Jane too. One morning, 10 years after we got married. I woke up in the hospital bed. What happened? I am very confused. Mark pushed the door open. I recognized this as Mark from my previous life. Because there are no tattoos on his arms. Wife. You woke up. I'll go downstairs and buy you a bowl of wontons. When he comes back. Jane followed behind. Mark gave Jane a hint. Sorry. Sister-in-law. I shouldn't scold you. I shouldn't have quarreled with you. Then you fell into the water. If I hadn't married your brother. Your Emma will not marry someone else. And then it became like this, didn't it? What does Emma have to do with my wife? Mark asked Jane. It's Emma. She said she's liked you since high school. She said she has always been inferior to you and didn't tell you that she likes you. So after you married your sister-in-law. She was sad for a while and just married someone. Her husband abused her for 10 years. Now she has successfully divorced. What does it have to do with your sister-in-law? We got married for love. Jane's expression is not very good. She said I realized I was wrong. Sorry bro. Sorry. Sister-in-law. Jane, I don't blame you. Please ask the driver to take you home. I'll talk to your brother alone. After Jane left. Mark took the initiative to speak. Shannon is the math tutor I found for Jane. My high school classmates. No other contact. You also know this. She was recommended by another high school classmate of mine. I know all. Why didn't you save me right away? You know I can't swim. I then asked. I thought about saving you first. But I saw Jane sink first. Sorry. Nancy, I didn't know Jane sank first. I just saw Mark swimming towards the direction where Jane fell into the water before I sank. She is your sister. I thought about it and I have no reason to blame you. Who to save first and who to save later. It's your choice. If I were you, I might do the same. Moreover, based on the 10 years of relationship between Jane and I in another world, I won't bear a grudge against Jane. I love her. Love you like my own daughter. Mark didn't feel relieved by what I said. He seems more nervous. You don't want to divorce me, do you? Would you agree then? Won't. I smiled. I asked you again, do you love me? Actually, I have liked you since junior high school. What are you doing? So sleepy. I grumbled unhappily. I waved to Mark to come over. He stood by my side. I let him sit on the bed. I held his face. I saw me in his eyes. I asked if I wanted to kick you into the river. Would you agree? Yes, but you can swim. I will give up saving myself. Then you will die. You will find a way to save me. So sure. I am sure. I kissed him. We kissed for a long, long time. Later Mark said he wanted to teach me how to swim. He said that after you learn it, I am waiting to be kicked into the river by you. Then wait for you to rescue me. In sleep. I heard a voice ringing out that you in the parallel universe are also living well. Don't worry. We left the hospital. Let's go to my parents' house to pick up Maggie and Judy. The two little girls are about to start school. Jane was also in the car. Our relationship has improved a lot. I saw that she was very kind. I want to stay with her. My birthday. Mark made me a cake. Jane said this was the result of his study for more than a month. I laughed. Tried it. It's delicious. Mark confessed to me at night. He said I love you. I love you too. I bought a new ring. A pair of gold. Customized. I'll replace him. I've been wearing this for 10 years. Let's get a new one. We exchanged rings. We shed tears at the same time. We hug and kiss. Finally, I asked him to get the same tattoo on his arm as in the parallel world.